This is the fourth video of 4, just dealing with this factors improving performance, option 4 for PDHPE HSC. And what I'd like to do now that we've dealt with that whole mind map is just look at the syllabus and see what they've examined in the past. All right, so this whole first section that we talked about, how do athletes train for improved performance, strength aerobic, anaerobic, flexibility and skill, is basically this first critical question. And you'll notice here that this has only been examined once since 2010. It was an 8-mark question in 2014, so that's 2 years ago. I mean, you can make of that what you will. The fact that they've only examined it once and it makes up a third of the topic might mean they're getting around to examining it again. So definitely be conversant with what those dot points are. Remember, you need to be able to hit, to get a good mark, you need to be able to hit all of the dot points, not just 1 or 2 of them. If we go over the page and have a look at critical question 2, which are what are the planning considerations, and we looked up here, what are the planning considerations? Sorry, I'm back on my desk, so we're a little bit more crowded for space. And we looked at them here: initial planning considerations, periodization, designing a training session, and avoidance of overtraining. Here they are in the program. Initial planning considerations, there was a pretty specific question, but it was way back in 2011 for 3 marks. And I think it pretty much just stated what are the initial planning considerations when designing a training session. Okay, so that's only come up once. That could poke its head out again, but whether or not they're going to ask say an 8 or a 12-mark question just about that dot point, I am not sure. Periodization, planning the training year, came up in 2011 for 5 marks and also again in 2014 for 12 marks. Okay, making that a pretty important section in 2014. It didn't come up again last year in 2015, so periodization could indeed come up again in 2016 for either 8 or 12 marks. There will just be 2 sections this year. The next section here, elements to be considered when designing a training session, and that was these ones that we looked at: health and safety, warm-up, outlining the session to the athletes, doing skills first, conditioning second, cool down and evaluation. Elements came up in 2013 as a 12-mark question, and once again, to get 12 out of 12, you really would have had to hit all of these dot points and have them in order and be able to give good examples. And planning to avoid overtraining, which we looked at over here, avoidance of overtraining, both physical and psychological. And what do we do? This is an interesting one because it has come up quite a few times. If you look there, in 2010, the first HSC exam of this syllabus, it was a 12-mark part. Then 2 years later, it was an 8-mark part in 2012. And then last year, in 2015, it was a 12-mark section. So honestly, now don't quote me on this, but I imagine if they've examined it 3 times and one of them was last year, this is an area that I do not think that they will re-examine. It doesn't mean don't study it. It just means don't devote a heap of your time at the expense of some of these other things which are more likely to come up. Okay, if you're on limited time, focus up here perhaps. Okay, if we go over to critical question 3, which here was ethical issues, basically divided into performance enhancing drugs and performance enhancing technology, and understanding what ergogenic aids are. If we look here, the dangers of performance enhancing drugs and why they're unethical came up in 2012 for 12 marks. So that is potentially due to come around again, 2012, 2016. And issues related to drug testing. There was a specific question back in the 2010 HSC, which once again was the first time they examined this syllabus, and it was specifically asking about the benefits and limitations of drug testing. So that's a possible one that could come around again, given that it hasn't been tested since 2010, and we just looked at it here, benefits. So why is it good to test athletes? level playing surface, limits the physical and emotional dangers of drugs, that sort of stuff, sets good role models for little kids, and the limitations, things like the costs and athletes being able to avoid testing and that sort of stuff, and then who to test. So yeah, that popped itself in just as a 2-mark question. So if we think 2 marks, that was probably like about half a page. So it was just a very brief one in 2010. That could possibly come up again. And if we jump down to, this is an interesting one again, use of technology has only shown its head in HSCs as recently as 2013. So in 2011 it was a large section, a 12-mark part. In 2013 it was an 8-mark part. And if we look here, interestingly, going from 2010 down to 16, we saw, this is not the whole test, but one of the 2 or 3 questions, drugs, technology, drugs, technology. And then for the last 2 years, there's been nothing in 2014, 2015. So look, if you're a betting person, or if you want to hedge your bets a bit, I know that you're all revising the whole topic, but I firmly believe, if it were me, that there will be at least an 8-mark section somewhere from use of drugs, use of technology. That's really the thing that's been, or the critical question that's been missing in the last couple of years. Okay, so that's my breakdown of what's been happening. Don't worry about that page, it's irrelevant. And I won't say good luck, because luck comes with the harder you work. Best wishes with your revision of option 4, improving performance.